It's my pleasure now to welcome Craig Salter, the General Manager of Safety Champion Software, and Jayde Nicholson, the Head of Safety and Wellbeing at T2T. Craig and Jayde will discuss how the implementation of Safety Champion software has supported T2T's health and safety team and how it has meaningfully impacted their 100 plus stores, along with their distribution centre and head office, and how this success was achieved. So please join me in welcoming Craig and Jayde to the stage.
Thank you. And thank you to Nick, who spoke before us. We've always had a great relationship with the inspectors, and it's fabulous to see them presenting in forums such as this. And welcome to all of you for joining us today for the Spotlight session that I'm sharing the stage with Jayde Nicholson from T2T on how software can meaningfully improve your safety program. The intention of today's session is to walk you through the tangible benefits that T2 found as part of their software rollout. For those who read the abstract before they came to today's session, what we're talking about here is reduced administration and increased visibility of actually what is happening in the workplace. By way of introductions,
my name is Jayde Nicholson. I am the Head of Safety and Wellbeing at T2.
And my name's Craig Salter. I'm the Managing Director of Action WHS Consulting and General Manager of Safety Champion Software. Both businesses are values-driven with a focus on making safety easier and accessible for every person, no matter their expertise.
With respect to T2, we've been working with Action WHS since November 2015 and commenced onboarding of Safety Champion in 2017.
And it's for this reason why I'm grateful to be able to share the stage with Jayde today. As Jayde mentioned, our relationship commenced back in 2015. At that time, we worked with T2 to support their self-insurance move following the acquisition by Unilever. For those that are not aware of the self-insurance requirements, there are over 100 or about 108 criteria. This is in comparison to the 37 criteria in ISO 45001. Self-insurance is large, it's prescriptive, it's industry agnostic. So for businesses like T2, it meant new safety processes needed to be introduced, for which for the most part were administrative focused. If this was not managed effectively, it would lead to clutter instead of a net improvement in their safety program.
And with our stores resonating a fun, eclectic and modern approach, we did not want to lose this identity through the bureaucracy of self-insurance. This resulted in us having to be creative. We needed to identify a way to maintain our point of difference, whilst at the same time provide an efficient way to manage self-insurance obligation around task allocation, record and evidence management.
As highlighted during the COVID pandemic, cloud-based solutions came to the fore, providing businesses with a way to move away from heavy paper-based approaches. However, the pandemic experience for most was T2's experience pre-pandemic on the road to self-insurance. Overseeing T2's health and safety program across 100 stores based in Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, UK, USA, remote scheduling, visibility of reporting was necessary to reduce the administrative load with the collection of evidence required to support this self-insurance journey. Today we wanted to share some of the real-life positive outcomes that have been achieved by T2 over the last 5 years as part of their software journey. And up front, I want to acknowledge that software won't do the safety. The software is the tool that sort of supports the business to understand sort of what implementation looks like and where their safety program's at. It allows the ability to schedule so people who have responsibilities understand what they are and can activate. Additionally, software should support evidence-based decision-making. It should sort of allow your role as a manager or a safety professional to focus on trends and to focus on high-consequence hazards rather than being down in the weeds and focusing on one-off non-conformances. So I'm really excited to wind back the clock, Jayde. When we first spoke, I recall the administrative burden of your safety program that was bringing yourself at the time. So I'm really glad this is one of the examples that you're looking to share with us today.
That's right. Our safety program was really admin heavy. We had spreadsheets and forms for everything. The safety team would have to manually email requests for sites to complete tasks, track completion, send follow-up reminders, and that also meant that the safety team had to keep track of what was due and when across our various business areas and markets. Tasks were paper-based, usually via printed forms, and this also relied on our printers and scanners functioning. Reporting relied on compiling data from forms received individually by over 100 workplaces. There was limited transparency across the business of tasks to be done, resulting in the accountability and follow-up sitting with the safety team. We also couldn't control versions. Once they're saved to a desktop, they seem to be there forever. And our team were continually using outdated forms and tools.
I think sort of when we were preparing for this session, it's not obviously ad lib, the comment about printers and scanners being those operational and financial blockers to paper-based program is something that sort of resonated with me and something that resonates with many of the customers we talk to around how do they calculate return on investment. It can often come to sort of looking at sort of those costs there. So one of my observations from the rollout of Safety Champion was the ability for you to move away from that sort of safety administration to a more trusted advisor role across the business. Are you able to walk us through that?
Yeah, so the software has allowed us to eliminate the administrative burden. We have almost eliminated the need for a spreadsheet or form. We are able to centralise and globalise our safety program, reducing complexity and duplication. It eliminated issues related to the currency of forms and tools, as now all team members operating from one source of information that is updated in real time. The system gave us the ability to allocate responsibility of actions and tasks to individuals, management, sites and departments. We can use the data to establish key trends from varying activities to drive our decision making, and being able to digitise almost everything that had previously been hard copy has supported us with our sustainability goals.
And I think the B Corp journey is a fabulous story. The purpose and sustainability over profit mantra is something that I know myself and our team are glad to have played some part in. Additionally, from my experiences, that transition from that admin to advisory role is not necessarily isolated to T2. It's something that happens across nearly all clients that we work with. The challenge with engaging workers to play a role in safety is not often around them not wanting to do things. It's about providing them with the engagement or the instruction, and that's where sort of these platforms sort of come into play. So moving on, are you able to walk us through the implementations to the process and the wins that have come from rolling out a software product?
Yeah, so our biggest wins have been having more time to focus on initiatives rather than being bogged down in the admin. Having a better understanding of our trends across the business. We can look at data by site, by state, region, market and business area, which gives us a better understanding of what we need to do and where. It's easy to localise our processes where needed to support our global business. Information and records are not lost as people enter and exit the business. There is transparency across the organisation of the safety program we have in place, and accountability for safety is shared, shifting the overall safety culture of the business.
In closing out this case study, I'm really excited by the way that the value that software has been able to provide in reducing the administration and allowing whole of business efficiencies as opposed to just thinking about the safety efficiencies. So the other case study that we're looking to present today is the mental health program that you introduced. And it's the support of the software that was able to allow you to run this program out immediately that continues again to motivate myself and our team daily.
That's right. So another opportunity safety software brought T2 was agility with respect to establishing and rolling out a mental health program. As anyone working in retail will know, customer aggression is a hazard. With paper reporting, we were unable to understand the full extent of the problem. It was difficult to quantify. There was resistance to reporting because paper-based reports were too time-consuming for our teams. Additionally, we had very little understanding of the cause of the incidents. It really limited the transparency of the problem.
So again, are you able to walk us through how software assisted?
So once we installed the system, our reporting became more agile. It was less time consuming for team members to complete, so number of incident reports increased, giving us more accurate representation of the actual problem. It allowed us to quantify the hazard. We could look at the months of the year and know where we were going to see a rise in aggression. We had transparency of the level of risk and had a better understanding on the impact to our team members. We could act quickly and make changes, which was especially important in the last 2 years, ensuring we could support our team.
Again, I love this example just for how simple it was to configure the software to collect the information that you needed in seconds, rather than having to go through a big change management process where you needed to communicate with the stores to remove obsolete forms, to update registers and the like. So are you able to share us the wins that have come from the rollout of the mental health program?
With the data, we've been able to influence both our internal and external stakeholders. So internally with the data, we've been able to understand the contributing factors to customer aggression across the business, both in our control as well as out of our control, and are currently working on an initiative focused on eliminating the aggression that we can control. We've developed a de-escalation and boundary setting framework aligned to the level of risk of customer aggression, both for our retail and customer care teams, which empowers and supports our team members with these incidents, along with a suite of training programs to support the framework and response to customer aggression. An example of where we've used the data externally is we have a couple of strip stores who experience heightened levels of aggression due to external factors. We've been able to use the data to give insight to local councils and authorities, resulting in proactive measures to minimise aggression at the source, where it is not in the control of T2.
And I think your story about using the evidence to influence other stakeholders is something that really excited me to a certain extent. And I think so the takeaway for all of us here is to reflect on how easy is it for us to collect information through our safety systems. And once we have collected it, how effectively is the evidence being managed so that we can call back on that information 3, 6, 12 months down the track to be able to run initiatives like that. Again, kudos to the T2 team for the agility that they were able to show with rolling out this program. So in summary, and collating the experiences of T2 and others, those who are here today who are looking to embark on their software journey, there's probably a few recommendations that I'd like to encourage. First, I would encourage you to list your objectives rather than defining your workflows. And what I mean by that is that the workflow or the journey that you look to achieve your objectives via your paper-based approach is likely to change if you go down the software pathway. And it's this change is the change that you should look to embrace. It's the difference that creates the efficiency. So for example, incident reporting, again through your paper-based approach, the structure is find form, complete form, scan form, send form to manager, manager sends form to safety team enters incident on register, WHS manager or manager then allocates the investigation to somebody, the manager then follows up completion of the investigation until it's done. This is in comparison to the software approach where it's enter incident to app, and then everything else is managed. The notification of the incident will be notified automatically. The reporting it onto the register will happen automatically. The person who needs to complete the investigation will be notified completely right away, and your reporting is there in real time. So list your objectives, in this instance, report and manage incidents, not the workflow as to how you want to achieve that objective. In saying that, I'd also absolutely encourage you to consider your functionality needs. So do you have remote workers? So workers who may need to interact with your software in an offline mode. Potentially you've got people who work regionally, or due to connectivity in plant rooms, they might not be able to access the cloud-based solution. If you have these instances, then working with an offline solution through mobile apps would be a pathway that I would consider, and it's a conversation that I would encourage you to have right at the start of the journey so that you can get the most out of your system. I'd also encourage you to ensure that the implementation of the platform allows action over administration. What we've spoken about today is reduced administration of safety. But one of the challenges with transitioning to software is that you don't want to then shift that administration from safety to administration of the software platform. So I'd be looking to ask questions around how are different sort of activities, users manage. You will have people who will leave your business, or they will move roles within your business. If you're needing to unpick tasks and evidence from one person and then re-add it to somebody else as they change roles, then your administration moves from administering sort of the safety and the paper-based to now administering the software. And that's going to be the same with things like creation of users. In Jayde's example with T2, 100 plus store managers, 10 plus regional managers, if you're having to create user profiles for each individual, then there's the opportunity for error, opportunity for security breaches. Whereas if you have profiles, a profile that this is what all my store managers access the system with, and this is what all my regional managers access the system with, you've got two profiles that you manage so that you've got sort of better security of your information, but more importantly, you're saving a truckload of time in setting up users. Finally, I'd encourage you to consider pricing models. So see if the software will provide assurance over the years to come. Knowing what the annual adjustment is allows you to sort of plan sort of future and ahead. It also sort of allows you to generally model around CPI. If you work off market rates, then you could see your software jumping 20%, 30% sort of in years 2, 3 down the track. So these just are a couple of things to consider based on the observations that myself and the team have had with the 1,250 clients that we've started to work with over the last 5 years. So that brings us to the end. Thank you everybody for joining us today. I hope you're able to take something away from the case studies Jayde shared. Really excited sort of by what we've been able to create together over the last 5 years.